following announcement has been paid for by the Celtic World Order.
Hello there, welcome back to Celtic World Order. As always, I'm Steve O'Matt. As you can see, I am joined with my brother, Paddy Boy, because we're here for another special video. Really excited about this one because we've got another bona fide Celtic icon to come and chat with, and they will be with us imminently. Before we do that, just as always, welcome back to the channel. If you're a returning subscriber, thank you very much. And if you're new, just make sure you hit the like, subscribe, the wee bell icon every time we do an upload. Every time we go live, you get notified. If you want to get us elsewhere, get us on the go. We're at Spotify. We're also on X. And Paddy, we are also on TikTok. I believe you take care of that. So plenty of ways to support Celtic World Order. Just make sure that you do. But without further ado, let's bring in our special guest today, which is Mr. Murdo Macleod. Murdo, on this cold, bright and frosty morning, thank you very much for getting up at the crack of dawn, well, for some of us, and joining us to talk about yourself and, of course, talk about Celtic. How we doing?
Yeah, I'm doing fine, thanks. Everything's going well.
Perfect. It looks bright and breezy behind you as well. As I say, I think it's a false economy because the sun's splitting the trees, but it's absolutely freezing.
Classic Scotland, isn't it?
We've got the ice here. We've got everything's going really well just now. But the sun's up in the sky, so that's the main thing.
That's it. The sun is shining on everybody. The sun's shining on Celtic. We're back to action the weekend. We'll talk a wee bit about the current team, but of course, we're here to first and foremost talk about yourself. As I says, Murdo, you're a bona fide Celtic icon, a legend, and you know that's not blowing smoke up anybody's backside. You have the history, you've got the background, and it is well and truly deserved. And one thing about yourself as well is some players are fortunate to be part of maybe one great era, one great occasion. Yourself, well, there's multi, isn't there? Of course, there's the 10 men that won the league, Love Street, and then, of course, from a other side of the pitch, you were part of that Wim Jansen team that broke up the Rangers' dominance and stopped to 10. Yeah. Celtic's been good to yourself. What's it meant to yourself as a player, as a coach, as a fan watching?
Yeah, well, if you go back to when I was a player, no, it was a fantastic time for me when I was at Dumbarton.
Yeah.
And then Celtic Big Billy paid £100,000 for me at the time.
Right. Yeah.
And it was great coming to Celtic Park and then walking in the door and seeing Danny McGrain and Bobby Lennox and Billy McNeil and John Clark and all these people. And you're just, wow, this is where you want to be.
That's it. Lisbon Lions, absolute legends of the game. You spoke about your time at Dumbarton there as well. I believe you broke into the squad about 16 years old, didn't you?
Yes, yeah.
On your debut, did you not replace a Lisbon Lion on your debut?
Yes, well, it was for the reserves, because it was the reserve team that went up to Dens Park to play. And I'm standing there because Alec Wright had said, if you sign for us, you'll get part of a game tomorrow night. And I says, oh, wow. That was me. And I was away up in the team bus. And then it was going into the second half. And then Alec Wright was shouting to Willie Wallace.
Aye.
And he's shouting, Whispy, Whispy. He's given all that. And I'm thinking, who's Whispy? Who's Whispy? I didn't know. And then it was Willie Wallace, and he came over and shook my hand and says, good luck for you and all that kind of thing. And for me, it was really special to, shaking the hands of a Lisbon Lion coming off a pitch.
Yeah.
Well, as you say, it's the time at the Barton, 100k. I believe you signed Celtic November, wasn't it? 78, you signed for Celtic, Billy McNeil, 100k, bring you in there. Just on Dumbarton, obviously, just wanted away from Celtic in the current and now. Quite a sad situation that's going on there at Dumbarton with their status. Obviously, they're in a bit of danger.
Yeah,
it's a storied and long history club of Scottish football. Hopefully, that's a situation that can be resolved. I'm sure you'll agree with that yourself there. But that time at Dumbarton, how do you think that set you up to make that step up to moving into a team like Celtic, you know?
Yeah, well, it was great for me playing at Dumbarton, but I'd played 90 odd games for Dumbarton.
Yeah.
No, from 16 not all the way up. So I knew how to play football.
Yeah.
And I knew what people were talking about, and it didn't matter who was telling me to do something different. But I was always ready to play and go into challenges, and I scored goals as well. So I think that's the big thing. But then going to Celtic Park, and then I think it was a Thursday that I actually went in and signed, and then it was fantastic. And then the next day, it's the day before a game, and then I'm training with the first team, and it was just fantastic that I'm going straight into the first team and the Saturday, but no, a great start. We lost to Motherwell.
I know, that's right. At Parkhead, it was 2-1, but you know, these things happen. But see, when you signed for Celtic, I'm always fascinated, because obviously it was different times then. How did, firstly, did you become aware of it, and how did signing for a club like Celtic play out at that time? Was it a personal call for Billy, or was it, you know, via a contact? You know, how do these things go down? Because now it's all agents and phones and demands and things. Was it quite straightforward?
It was very straightforward. Alec Wright on the Thursday, Alec Wright and Davy Wilson, the two coaches at Dumbarton, they both came to my house and said that Celtic have offered £100,000 for you. And I said, aye, so it was.
Pull another one.
So it was great, and we were going up on the Thursday, so we went up there on the Thursday, and then that's when I signed. And then the Friday, I knew some of the boys from the international side, you know, Big Roy and George McCluskey and all that, and they were about, so I was quite comfortable. When you're seeing boys that you're kind of own age, or a wee bit older, or a wee bit younger. No, it was really good.
Yeah. Well, as you say, you kicked off with not in the greatest of fashion. Obviously, there's a 2-1 defeat to Murdo at Parkhead. But, you know, I ask everybody this, but I just think to get a sort of a gravity what it means. Obviously, you played for Dumbarton, and at the time when you Scottish football, you know, people look at teams like Dumbarton now and think miles off it, but football was so competitive with teams. You know, Dumbarton could play Celtic, give them a right good game, whether it's cup, whatever, and you make a step up. But there's obviously going to be a notable step up in demands and fan base and everything. For you coming off and coming onto that pitch, for coming away from Dumbarton, coming to Celtic and coming out against Motherwell on that debut, did it faze you in any way, shape or form, with, you know, the expectation, the size of the crowd, all that kind of stuff? What was that feeling like, that first taste of Celtic being a player?
No, it didn't faze me at all. I was just looking forward to the game, and then we lost, and I wasn't happy about it. No, it was. No, you're saying because I always say all the time, we never should be losing at Celtic Park.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter who you're playing. No one should win here. And that's what I said. Because obviously you can't say it Dumbarton, because you're playing against decent sides of your own level and all that kind of thing. And they can come and win it Dumbarton and all that kind of thing. But Celtic should never, ever lose a game at Celtic Park. And here's me coming out with my first game and I'm losing it.
Yeah. It's the one that you're always remembered for, isn't it? Your first game, you go in and go, right, how did you do your first game? Yeah, we lost. Right, did you play well in the game at least?
I don't know.
You know what I mean?
I don't know. It was because I played like I played at Dumbarton. No, I was just running about. I was quick. I was moving about. and one of my friends was playing for Motherwell.
Yeah.
Paul Wilson. And he just left Celtic.
Yeah.
And he came across from the jungle and shook my hand at the other side and wished me all the best. And he lived in Mulgai, the same place as me, and it was great to see Paul Wilson.
Yeah.
Familiar face.
Paul's a hero of mine as well. Paul's an absolute cracking guy.
Paul was great, yeah. So it was really nice. And then after that, I was building up for the next game.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It was Rangers.
Aye.
Yeah.
At Hampden.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So it's something you've got in your head to go and beat Rangers. And that was the most important thing. No, yeah, because after the Motherwell game, that's it. It's out your head. It's the Rangers game now.
Yeah.
We've got to beat them.
Well, that's always going to be the benchmark, isn't it, as a Celtic player? And actually, you said there about winning, we shouldn't be losing at Celtic Park. It's a winning mentality, and that's something that you've always had. And I believe, am I right in saying that in the sort of infamous 10 men that won the league season, there was questions over how were Celtic going to do it, and your opinion was very much, don't worry, we'll win all the games. I believe that's a mentality that you had there with that. And of course, touching on that, as it says, look at that side. It was littered with amazing talents, as you says, a fantastic. But for some players, and certainly for yourself, that being part of that team that won that 4-2 game against Rangers, that's the first sort of big major Murdo Macleod memory moment, party aside, that gets chatted about. And I think that's the thing that's great about being a Celtic supporter. I mean, obviously, myself as a guy that's about to touch 40, I'm hardly old, but that was before my time. But the great thing about Celtic fans and our history is that these stories, guys like yourself, these teams, they live on because I've heard about that story for, the likes of my old man and, my gran and things. I heard these stories and about these things and they live on. It'd be great to see some footage of it. Of course, I believe there might be somebody with some sort of grainy, dodgy camera of it, but that was obviously a turning one for you. And I just want to sort of talk about that as the sort of first real defining Murdo Macleod moment. Of course, you capped it off with I think it's meant to be 25 yards. I'm sure it'll be 40 yards now, as this time goes on and extra yards get added over the years. But with that sort of game, we go on, we win that league on goal difference, massive, and there's a huge result at the tail end. Sorry, we don't win on goal difference. My head's up my backside there, sorry. I'm talking about off street, of course. But the 4-2 game, we go down to 10 men, things aren't going ideal. You step up to make it 4-2. That in itself was considered to be a wee bit of a risk, was it not? Because there was always the nerves of an equaliser coming from Rangers. How did that game feel for you in the run up to that? What was the sort of feeling getting into that massive game? You spoke about playing against Rangers and that being the be all and end all, but in such a nip and tuck situation of that season, what was the feeling around the team and the manager and yourself getting into that?
Well, it meant so much for all the players. All the boys that are, and I didn't talk to every one of them. I didn't say a lot. I went out for the game, and it was fantastic. The atmosphere, walking down the tunnel at Celtic Park, but everyone knew before we came out, we've got to win it. Mm-hmm. We've got to win it. It doesn't matter what they do and all that kind of thing. We've got to win it. Yeah. And then we're out there and it was they've scored, and was it Bobby Russell or someone, or got a goal, but it was us. We had to play and get better and better. And then when Doyley gets sent off, No, it was.
It was never a red.
Oh, no chance. No chance. He gave a wee nudge to
Aye.
Alec McDonald. No, a wee, just flicked his foot at him and just said, "Come on!" And he did say to him, "Come on, wee man, just get up."
Aye.
And at that, after him doing a wee kick, he gets sent off.
Mm-hmm.
And then at no point did we thought, oh, we're down to 10 men. No, we weren't. We're just the exact same. We've just got to go. Everyone's got to work harder. Everyone's got to getting about the ball all the time. We've got to chase down Rangers. We've got to take the ball off them, and we've got to create chances. And that's what happened as well. No, the chances, the goals from George McCluskey, from Big Roy. No, it was great. It was great.
You see that sometimes as well when teams go down to 10 men, Murdo. You talk about it, that word resilience, innit? The team nips in together. Everybody plays that little bit better. You go that extra yard, and that seemed to happen on that day. And then obviously, like Steve said, the goal that you scored that day is still to this day, I think, voted one of the best, if not the best, Old Firm goals of all time.
Yeah.
How did that feel? How was that?
Oh, that because I remember the night. It was a Celtic night, at the end of the season and all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then everybody's watching all the goals getting scored, showed you all the goals. And then I remember I was watching the goals because it was put in for the best Old Firm goal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then I was watching all the goals, and you're saying, "Oh God, look at that goal!" and "Oh, fantastic!" And I'm talking to myself about the whole thing. And then I seen an old picture, and I thought, "Oh goodness me, look how old that must be been from the 50s."
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm looking, and then I realised that was mine. That was my goal. It was so old. Just everything was there. Because I remember that Davy Provan, he was going down the left-hand side, and he was running down there, and he's kind of shouting after pass to him, and he could take it out to the corner flag and waste time.
Yeah.
And I'd already had it in my head how I was going to waste time. I says I was going to hit the ball as hard as I could, and it will go up the Celtic end, and the Celtic supporters will keep the ball there, and then that'll be the minute and a half away, and then that's it. And then when I was still running with the ball, I said to myself, I'm going to hit the ball as hard as I can and put this ball in the net, and it's top corner and the far side, and Peter Macleod, one of the big goalkeepers. Whatever happened to him, I don't know, but the ball was in the net, and at that time, most people then knew that we won the league that night.
Yeah, that was it.
That was so special for us.
Aye, that was the icing on the cake, that goal. It just seemed to sum it all off. And like you said, if that was you aiming for the stand, Murdo, then fair play. It's took a wicked turn of events and ended up being an absolute worldie.
Am I right in saying that folk were questioning when the thought that you were going to hit it, there was cries they don't hit it? I mean, I think we've all been there when we've been watching Celtic over the years where you've been in that sort of desperate last minutes and you see guys and you're like, don't hit it, just keep the ball.
Aye.
Turned it to be an absolute classic, as you says. How far out was it? Come on, I'm going to ask you, how far was it in your eyes, mind?
I think Big Billy gave me a wee push first, and then no, it was
55 yards.
It was out at the side, and it's strange now, even when you're watching it and the old videos getting shown. and you can't see, you can't even see it going into the net.
Yeah.
Going in, and that's how I always know, because you're talking about to younger chaps just now, but they're looking back in it, and no, they don't see it. They don't see it. But the older generation of Celtic supporters, they would be standing there the whole time watching the ball going in the net, falling down, and we won the game. And I think the Rangers team hit the ball forward, and Peter Latchford came out and grabbed the ball, and then that was it.
Brilliant.
That was it away. And to win a league like that, but it's the older generation who were there that night, who had to walk home, who never seen it in the television, because everybody went and strike that night.
I remember it. Yeah, I remember reading about that.
I don't think you're getting replays, are you? You're not getting your sports scene mulling over a million different angles you go, are you?
That's it. No,
You saw it or you didn't. That's it.
Aye. It's amazing, and going in, and even when you see Davy Probin lying down, he's just lying down, punching the ground and all that kind of thing. And fantastic. No, Davy was there. That was his first title. No, it was great.
But
So you were quite lucky. You were in the door, 6 months?
Yeah.
If that. And
I think it was. Well, from November. 11th of November, was it?
Yeah.
Oh.
But that's the thing, players could come and go and sign. There was no transfer windows either. You know, there was free passage to sign and go between players. So yeah, there you go. I mean, and now November, you would have had to wait to January. You know, if there was the dates for it, but you would have signed in November. But
that's it.
That's the beauty of football then. But you know, it was a great side, and you obviously you touched on, you know, David Provan, got our guys, McGrain, Aitken, Doyle, McCluskey. Fantastic players in that side. See, for you as your first Celtic side to come into, and this is the thing that we as fans, we always, as I say, we hear the stories, we sometimes see video if it exists and stuff, of some great players and some great performances. You came for them partner, as you say, with a right good bit of game time behind you. You know, a seasoned pro. You weren't some young guy that just got lucky. You came in there and earned your place and straight in that time. For you, what was the standouts? Obviously, all big characters, needed big characters to try and get ourselves back, overturn Rangers, and eventually go on and, of course, win the league. Who were the big characters? Who were the driving forces in that side of that league winning team for you?
Okay, every one of them, because everyone had to play well. Do you know what I mean? Because with that, you're looking at modern day when you've got about 26 players and you can change a whole team and whatever you want to do. Just now, when at that time you had maybe a couple of players sitting to get on the park, but that's all you were going to get, and then you're looking and you've got Danny McGrain, you've got Roy Aitken, you've got Davy Provan, you've got Tommy Burns, you've got Andy Lynch, you've got Peter Latchford, the goalkeeper, you know, and you had Tam McAdam, who was either going to score up front or he would come up and he played centre back as well. Tam McAdam, no, it was a great move for Big Billy to put Tam McAdam at the back, and it was Tam McAdam and Roddy McDonald. He was another one. He was a big strong boy that played at the back. But again, we were a well organised side. All the players knew what to do, and Billy knew what to do. When he's putting a side out, it wasn't putting somebody the wrong side of the park or nobody in the middle of the park or something like that. He knew exactly who's to play all over the park.
Well, I mean, that's it. You've been fortunate in your time at Celtic. So he's very successful, multiple league titles, Scottish Cups, a League Cup as well. A very, very decorated period for you, and played with some fantastic players. This is obviously coming in 78, leaving in 87. You know, you got to see a real transition of players moving on. As I say, and obviously we touched on part of the Love Street side as well. Another fantastic season to be a Celtic supporter. You know, another one snatching victory for the jaws of defeat. You know, and obviously winning that game heavily, and as I say, I was getting my dates mixed up, winning on goal difference. In terms of that as well, for that season, that's again, talk about yourself having multiple things that you've been part of, massive events, you know, iconic sides that we talk about. Moving a wee bit further ahead into that sort of season, there were some great players in and around you there again. And to win it in such style, leaves us obviously Mr. Macleod was a bit of a goal scoring machine during that season.
Mm-hmm.
How massive was he as part, again, coming back to players that you played with? How massive was he in that season for ourselves? Of course, on the last day as well, and that result.
Aye, but Brian was very good. You know, mate, you're looking for a striker, because I think overall, all the years Celtic always talk about that the players, and it's always good strikers that they were getting. No, we had George McCluskey there, and Brian Macleod coming in. He was quick, and he could score goals, and he was great. And where he ended up just tells you how good he was.
Yeah, absolutely.
As time went on, obviously you had spent such a long period of time as a player at Celtic, and even as time moved on, you get near the end of your time at Celtic. You weren't exactly old, you weren't over the hill, but you got to see new faces coming in, new heroes, obviously. You know, the McStays, Willie, Paul, Charlie Nick, as you mentioned, with Granty on, guys like Mo Johnson, Jerry Craney, even Davy Moyes as well there. See, out of these sort of newer batches time went on, what was it like for you? Did your dynamic as a member of that team change much? But as a more experienced head, like when you were coming in and you had guys like Lennox and the likes, and they were obviously the figureheads, they were the guys with the experience. Did you take on any of that kind of mantle as the seasons grew for yourself at Celtic?
I just played every year just to win the title and win some cups and all that kind of thing, because he just went through, and it was fantastic just seeing the new ones when McStay was coming in and middle of the parks. When you've got top class players at that age coming in to play, it was a really good club right through the 80s, having all these kind of younger players coming through. But again, for the club, it was they're not spending a lot of money in players. They've got their own players
able to cultivate that themselves. Yeah, definitely.
The amount of players that they brought.
When Steve spoke there as well, and he was talking about some of the strikers that come through the system, obviously Charlie Nicholas and guys like Mo Johnson and stuff like that. I mean, a lot of people don't like mentioning Mo, obviously, because he done that move across the city. But to you, was he up there with some of the best that played for us during that time?
Aye. He wasn't just a striker that you don't kind of wow.
Yeah,
he's a really good, and obviously with the Celtic fans, and they've got their grievances against him and all that kind of thing, and over all the years and all that. But I think what he did in the future, he was good. And again, at Love Street, he scored 2 goals.
Yep. Yeah. People forget things like that, isn't it? It's funny.
But I always say to people, when they don't like him, and all that, I says, well, he scored 2 goals for us to win the league.
Yep, that's right.
Do you know what I mean?
To win that week. Yeah.
Aye.
But, no, I mean, it's incredible. He says we brought through all these guys. Obviously, you says, you know, you're quite humble about it. I just turned up and done my bit and mucked in and wanted to win. See, over the piece when you were at there, was there any particular combination of players around you when you were playing in midfield that you'd a preference if you were to pinpoint one of your periods at Celtic, one of your seasons, and say that was the teammates that I liked, I enjoyed having the most around me, that brought the best out on me? Would you be able to pick? Is there a particular
the players?
pairing?
The guys who were playing in the team, at no point did I look around and think, no, we need a new left back or a new whatever, any part of the team, because we had a strong team. Remember, we went through a time against an Aberdeen team, not just Rangers, but an Aberdeen team with some great players in it. And it was a difficult challenge when you were playing against Aberdeen and all that over the first few years. But we were looking about when you had Davy Provan and myself, Paul McStay, Tommy Burns.
Can I hit all names on it? Throw it.
Looking at Big Roy going back. Roy could sit in the middle of the park, or he could go back and play centre half. Tam McAdam, Danny McGrain still there. No, it was all the players all still wanted to play. They all wanted to win.
Yeah, absolute icons of the game. You're mentioning the names off there, just rhyming them off, and guys like you say, Tommy Burns and all of this. I mean, it's just incredible to even fathom playing alongside these guys. You were obviously known for scoring a bit of a worldie. You didn't score a Snyder of a goal or a bad goal, did you? You always seemed to score absolute cracking goals. And I remember watching, I think it was the Tommy Burns story, and it's about 5 or 6 of the goals in it were for you, and every single one of them were for outside the box. Was that just something that did you just have that belief? Was that something that you worked on, or was it something that you just kind of was a natural gift?
I think when I was a kid, I could hit the ball really hard.
Yeah. And
then all my going through the school team and all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
No, I could hit the ball really well. I played in Drumchapel and for Party Thistle Boys Club, and I scored goals there. And then when I eventually went to Celtic, I think it was my third game against Hibs, and I scored one from about 25 yards.
Yeah.
And that seemed to stick with me, that I scored so many goals. But I didn't think, I just, when I had a chance to score, I took it.
Yeah, multiple goals against Rangers as well, aye. Multiple.
That's nice.
It became the norm as well, didn't it, for you? Anytime you were about 25 yards or 30 yards out, the crowd would just shout, shoot. That was like the kind of normal thing, wasn't it? They kind of expected it then.
Yeah. Well, see when I left Celtic, the first game in Europe was Borussia Dortmund against Celtic, and I'm playing against Celtic in the jungle.
He's been down 3-2, didn't you? Is that right?
Aye.
Over the 2 legs, I think beat Celtic 1-3-2 over the 2 pieces.
Aye, but what I was going to say though was it was a free kick for Celtic, 25 yards out, and the jungle started singing "Murdo, Murdo, Murdo, Murdo." Yeah, which was was really nice. It was very emotional when I came back.
How was it? You've said that, and obviously to segue into your time in Dortmund, quite a quite a ambitious move, I'd say. You know, at a time we're seeing now a lot of sort of young talent and Scottish talent moving abroad. We've seen that in recent seasons quite a lot to success. Obviously, you go over to Dortmund, it's quite a big thing. And obviously, when you move over there, I think it was about 250,000, is that correct, despite your contract situation? So Celtic came out of that, you know, quite well. What was it like moving to a club like Dortmund? You know, like when we now look at other guys that have made such a moves, and I always come to one of my heroes, Paul Lambert and stuff, and they talk about the change in culture from the way football was practiced, that was training, lifestyle in Scotland, to moving over to Germany. How was that transition a move for you? First from a sort of, I guess, a emotional standpoint, as you say, so it's quite emotional making that return, but it must be quite emotional leaving Celtic for it being such a massive part of your life and career for such a long period of time. How did the move to Germany come about, and you know, what was the feelings around it when it happened?
Okay, it's a story. It was I'd spoken to Davy Hay about my contract, and we had kind of half agreed on a new contract.
Yeah.
So it was another 4 years going to be at Celtic Park. And then Davy changed his mind.
All right.
And he said I wasn't to get a testimonial.
Come on.
No, well, that's what I thought. And Davy Hay, he was the manager at the time, and he said that not one to give you a testimonial.
That's
So I
wild.
said, well, obviously you don't want me then. So in the next couple of days, that it was in the newspaper that I'll need to be going. And then I was, I thought it was the board directors. It was, but it wasn't their decision. It was Davy Hay's decision.
Wow, that's incredible. I think really surprised at that.
And it was, I was kind of in the house in the afternoon, and the phones went, and it was in the newspaper on the Friday that I'm looking to move on. And then there was 2 German agents phoned me, one from Borussia Dortmund and one from Eintracht Frankfurt. Wow. And at no point has anyone from Scotland ever went to Germany to go and play football. Football players, and even guys from Edinburgh and Aberdeen and all these boys, they would go down to England if they were moving on from their own club. But it was great when you go to Dortmund and you know what it's like.
Yeah,
it's a fantastic football club, and it was from home from home.
Yeah.
No, it was fantastic. The noise the supporters made, and they really looked after you.
Yeah.
Was there much of a change in the lifestyle, or was there a change in the training methods or anything like that? Did you find yourself having to adapt, or was it just like a duck to water for you?
No, everything was so easy. You know what it's like when it's when you're looking to run about and get really fit and all that kind of thing. In Dortmund, it was so easy that everything was. They took their time to get yourself really fit, and then once it's time for the start of the new season, that's what they always used to say. It's you've not to be fit in the first day, because it's a long way after that.
Well,
but the Germans were so good.
And what was the expectation levels like at Dortmund? Now, obviously, Dortmund are a massive club. I think it's probably fair to say that at that point, they were more of a rising club in terms of their status. Obviously, you were successful there. You won the DFB Pokal and also the Super Cup as well. Over 100 appearances, couple of goals in there as well. But as you say, obviously that notion of you won't be fit in the first day, particularly now in modern football, we're expecting everybody to be ready to hit the ground running. Yeah. Expectancy levels are huge at Celtic, no matter what era it is. Was there a feeling of, was the expectation level from the fan base or anything, was it slightly tempered a wee bit at Dortmund, or was it just as fierce, but they didn't say it as openly?
Oh no, Dortmund was just like Celtic. That's what. Because someone asked me at the game the other last month, 2 months, they asked me, why did you stay at Celtic for so long?
Yeah.
What the German, and I was saying, I says the supporters are the exact same as yours here.
Yeah.
You're both are the exact same. You always cheer on the players that you like watching, players that's working so hard for you. If they're working hard for you, they loved it.
Yeah, it's passion, isn't it? That's the one thing you say about Dortmund fans and German fans to ourselves. Very similar in that respect to their passion, their love for their club, and giving it all. So I can understand, as you say, it felt sort of a home from home. As you say, a good period there. You eventually work your way back into Scotland, and then work over your sort of last couple of years, finish up in Scotland. But in terms of the Celtic story, we'll come to the next big periods. I say, very fortunate. Multiple things that you'll be notable for, but of course, in recent times, it's of course stopping that monopoly that Rangers had on Celtic at that time, and you come in to work with Wim Jansen. In terms of that season, of course, it was a whirlwind. I remember it, like it was yesterday, and it seemed it was a bit of a strange season, Murdo, where it was a battle of wills, wasn't it? Celtic and Rangers had multiple chances to kill things off, to pull away, and nobody seemed to take it. And it was obviously went right down to the wire. But to start off, firstly, with you coming in with Wim Jansen, how did you actually get appointed to be part of that coaching staff? Was Wim somebody that you knew, or was it somebody at the club that came to you?
No, I didn't know Wim at all. And even when we were, I was a coach. I was asked to become a coach at Celtic Park. And then, so that I was taking the pre-season training and all that kind of thing. And then eventually the team or the squad, they were going out to Holland for a couple of games. So we flew over there. And then when we were over there, then the news came that Wim Jansen was going to be the new manager. And nobody really knew much about Wim. And then he came over to we were out training, and Wim came over and then introduced himself and shook everybody's hand and wished us all the best and all that kind of thing. And then after that, it was great. I was with Wim, and I was on the park and all that kind of thing, and he was quite happy with the way what I was doing. And after that, he asked me to become his assistant manager. And me being me, I knew everything that it was going to go on at Celtic Park and what's needed to be done.
Yeah.
No, it's when you're like that, and as most of the Celtic fans would talk about, that era was lost the first two games, and everybody's thinking, "Oh, this is terrible," but the team get better and better and better. And no, Vim knew everything about football, so
Yeah.
he was the best choice of a manager.
And he brought in a young unknown Swedish lad as well, didn't he, by the name of Henrik Larsson, which
Who's that?
paved,
I didn't know who that is.
paved the path for the next 7 years of absolute dominance.
Yeah.
Yeah, what a signing
fine.
that was. Did you have any
Yeah.
hand in that, or was that just all kind of Vim?
Oh no, it's all Vim. Yeah.
Yeah.
Vim. The only thing I had was when Henrik came walking in to the club, and I had a wee chat with him about it. But it was fantastic, and it was so good for the club. Absolutely so good, and scoring goals left, right, and centre all the time. It was a fantastic player.
We see that period there, as you say, it was such a massive season. Of course, there was a lot riding on that, and I'm sure you'll agree that certainly me, even as a young fan at the time, with no expectancy, Wim Jansen his career known in terms of a known entity, but to guys like ourselves, like, who is this guy? This is a big risk, and there was a lot riding on it. But the club was in peculiar times there. Obviously, we'd went through that barren spell where, things were really, really desperate. And bar a Scottish Cup under Tommy Burns, there wasn't too much to really shout about and get excited around. But the club was in strange times, and there was another peculiar appointment around about that time as well, where there was Jock Brown and behind the scenes, Jock Brown and Fergus McCann. And just before we touch on the football, with you coming in and Wim coming in, what was the feeling around the club internally? Because obviously, yourself at the time, no matter what Celtic done, they were always wrong. The press loved getting in about our mince and painting us as fools. And I think guys like Jock Brown being appointed only added to that. Was any of this circus off the pitch playing onto the minds of yourselves and the players, or was it just focus on business? We've got a job to do here.
I don't think there was any kind of problems with the players, because obviously it's not going to be 10-0 in the first game and 10-0 in the second game and all that kind of thing. You've just got to pull the team together, and I think that was the most important thing. That the team itself was the most important thing. They've got to get together, and they gradually. I think it was we went to Perth, and we beat them, and I think that was in the cup. The first round or second round, and then we beat them again the following weekend. So we beat them twice in a row, and then the team started winning more and more games. And we just kept on going.
Get a bit of momentum around us.
Just get everything and just get better, and you know what it's like when you start winning games. You get better, and everyone gets better.
Yeah. I think when you look at that era and you look at, as we say, obviously we had a great bulk of talent in there. Of course, you're always looking across the city, aren't you? Rangers still in that massive, they had spending power. They had some outstanding players. Remember, they had a Marco Negri that was hitting 32 goals that season. Crazy. We didn't do too bad ourselves. Larsson's, you touched on, he was 16, but we also goals for elsewhere. Young Simon Donnelly, 10 goals, and a real surprise package. Somebody that was huge for us that season, gets undersung, was a certain Mr. Burley. He had 10 goals in that period as well.
Yeah.
How was it for you, Murdo, for being a player, an exceptional player, I must say so myself, with all the expectations that you would have and some of the great players that you had the privilege to play alongside? How has it been on that? And I know you had some coaching experience, but coming back to Celtic coaching, we talk, it's different gravy, expectations are level and all that kind of stuff. And in such a massive season where we've got to get the job done, who was it? Look at that team. Boyd, McKinlay, McNamara, Larsson, O'Donnell. Blinker, yep, Bratback, names that just roll off. Stubbs, Reaper, some fantastic players in there. Did you find the coaching the boys easy? Was there anybody in there, and I'm looking at you, Stefan Mahy, was there any nutters in there that were trying to corral a wild bull?
Aye, it's funny, you're saying Stefan there, but he was one of these guys, just that's the way he was. He would go into challenges and he'll get a red card every now and again and all that kind of stuff. But the players themselves, they had so much respect for Wim, and that's what got us going all along the road. Every game we played in after that, the first 6 or 7 games and all that kind of thing, after that, the team, they were getting better, the players themselves, because they were all good players.
Yeah.
And they were all wanting good players round about them. So they were just delighted that being part of the first 11. And that's the way all the players, they were quite easy to work with. It doesn't matter where they played, but they always, you're talking about Craig Burley and all that, scoring goals and all that. That's what you're looking at all from the middle of the park, and then there was always they kind of looked after each other as well. Over the whole season.
I think when we look at that side, certainly from my perspective, over that sort of barren period for us watching Rangers win title upon title, obviously there was that Tommy Burns era, which was so close, and I felt that was one of the more recent teams that really had proper quality. I think this was a wee bit of an evolution, the team that you and Wim had, where we did have some, obviously, like Henrik Larsson. We never knew just how good he would go on to be, of course. We were only getting to see it there. But I felt that side, it was just at the right optimum period where it felt similar to seasons gone by where we had good players. Were the superstars? No, but I think there was just an extra wee sprinkling across the pitch. Was there not equality? Again, another guy, got his build for the back. Mark Reaper, what a player he was. Very unfortunate how his career ended with a random toe injury and the likes, but we did have quality all over that pitch, as you say. Larsson, Reaper, Stubbs, again, another guy that gets undersung. Lambert, Burley, O'Donnell. It was a really, really good team that we had there. Was there anybody in the side, take Larsson out of the equation, again, talk about shining lights, guys that were dependable? I know you said you could depend on everybody and they all work for anybody, but was there any particular player or players in that side that you felt were particularly instrumental to what we eventually done that season?
Yeah, I think when most of the players that played in most of the games, they were there for a reason. Because they were there because obviously, the League Cup was the start of the kind of season. So the League Cup was, and then we're moving on, and the players, they were wanting to win the games. They're wanting to win the cup, and that was the big thing, that every player wanted it, and
they knew what it meant, and they wanted to push on and go for it. And again, that comes for the top. That comes for guys like you, Murdo, who obviously Wim being in there. Wim came in as a manager, not really knowing what the Celtic support demand, not knowing the history essentially of the club and having that expectation. So obviously you had the chance to press that onto the players as well and give them that belief, which is absolutely incredible to see. So moving on further from this, you've also got a book coming out as well, and it's called Murdo.
Yes.
Chant for the Celtic fans, as you were talking about earlier on. Is that basically where that's kind of came from? Is that the title came from the fans obviously chanting your name?
I had to do it that way because the Germans,
Murdo Macleod.
They used to sing Murdo Macleod, Murdo Macleod.
Brilliant.
And then the Celtic fans were singing Murdo Murdo. So it was
Did
great.
you see Henrik's bit in the front of the book?
Oh, Henrik's
cover.
bits on the boot.
Yeah.
Have you seen it?
Yeah, right at the very start. Yeah.
On the front, on the cover, one of
Yeah.
the most humble and solid men I've ever met. I'm grateful he's a friend of mine. How good is that?
That's incredible. I mean, that just shows you what you had. That just shows you the impact that you had on these players, Murdo. And obviously, Henrik is looked upon as an absolute Celtic legend. To me, he's the guy growing up. Like I said, me and Steve were both 40 years old. We're looking at guys like Henrik, and he was the icon of our era. He was the legend, the hallmark, essentially. And for him to then come out and say that about yourself, it must mean so much.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. It's nice, the whole thing. But it's good. It's nice to have a book now, because when you were young and then you grew older and all that kind of thing, and I was looking and then when now I'm getting older.
He's still my toy boy.
I love
9
it.
months.
Murdo, I hope that when I'm getting older that I'm looking as good as you. Do you know the one thing I've always says about you, no matter what age, you've always had the same haircut. What a head of hair. you've always had it.
There we are. Aye.
I hope that Steve-O's looking as good as I'm when I get on in my years. Paddy's already lost his hair. He can forget about it.
Aye.
Oh, God.
Aye. It's funny you just that's the way it is now.
That's what it's always going to be, I'm telling you. But no, it's fantastic. Obviously, you've got your book out. You see, you've got Larson, speaking so highly of you there within the book and the likes, and it's great. As I said before, that's the great thing about Celtic fans, and it gives you an opportunity to get all these stories out, about your career, the anecdotes, the relationships with certain players, managers, and it's fantastic. And as it says, we've ordered up copies ourselves. Paddy always likes, he's a late night reader. Me, I usually get enough reading for TV guides and nonsense like that, ingredients on the back of packets, not that. But I would definitely check it out, as I say, because I do enjoy a football book, and I enjoy reading one of our own, and I'll definitely be checking that out. And I'm hoping that's going to be a great success for you, as I say. But we've plenty to look upon, and a career as well, not just playing, managing and coaching. And obviously, as I say, just to finish off on that 10, stopping the 10 season as well. It was a fantastic season. Who would have thought that man that we spoke about there, Henrik Larsson, that guy that came on against Hibs and had a howler, that he would go on to be such an instrumental player for Celtic and an instrumental player in that season. But one thing, Murdo, I think we always forget is that we also won that. Remember, it used to be called the Coca-Cola Cup as well. It's just circumstance, isn't it? The massive achievement is stopping Rangers winning the 10. That other achievement gets overlooked, doesn't it? Because a very good 3-0 win against Dundee United at Ibrox, of all places.
Mm-hmm.
Was that, see, when we got that first trophy, just to sort of bookend it, when you just get your hands on that League Cup trophy, was that a point? We always say, like, looking at the game now, that the cup final is coming up for Celtic and Rangers this year. That's the marker. You get that first trophy in the bag, and it sets out your stall. Was that a feeling back then as well? That we've done this, we will do that?
Yeah, when it's funny, when I came to Celtic, and then winning the League Cup was smashing, and then going to play at Ibrox, and then beat Dundee United comfortably, and that's when the players can do that, and they know that it was them that had done it all. on the park, and they were better against Dundee United.
Yeah.
But that's all the players. No, yeah, everyone that was involved with Vim, they all really had so much respect for him.
Yeah.
No, it was absolutely fantastic. No,
It's
the players.
Yeah,
players
absolutely
when-
incredible. The life that we spoke about here, Murdo, as well. We've covered your time at Celtic, a little bit about Dortmund and a little bit, obviously, about the kind of coaching side at Celtic. You did an international career as well on top of that, and there's massive amounts of that in your book as well. Obviously, we're approaching the hour mark. We don't want to keep you too long here as well. So, obviously, I want to say to everybody, we've scratched the surface in Murdo's career here. And what a career it is. What a life, what a story. And there is so many iconic stories in there as well, a few good laughs. So please head out, even go onto Amazon. The book's on Amazon as well. That's where I've ordered mine.
Buy it now, and it'll be
buy it
there
right
tomorrow
now.
morning.
Get it read. Tomorrow morning. Incredible. Yeah, absolutely fantastic. So just to kind of finish off on things, Murdo, I want to know what your feeling is about the current Celtic squad, and are you impressed by how Brendan has us all playing, how we're approaching things?
Just now, I feel as though, even although Aberdeen are side by side,
Yeah,
and I think we'll be far away from Aberdeen in the next couple of games.
yeah.
No, I think we'll be far enough away. But I think just now, when you're looking at the team, the players are coming on, because I think it's at some point of last season when the players were coming, the subs were coming on, and there were too many subs coming on at the same time with 10 minutes to go, and then the opposition seemed to always nick a goal off us. But I think now I think we're stronger, and I think we're quicker now than we were last year.
100%. We spoke about that before, and we spoke about the like for like taking a player off and bringing on a player of a similar stature. And I think we're starting to see that. I think we're starting to see a good, solid squad in there, and it's a joy to watch. And like you said, hopefully the next few games coming here, Celtic can push on, because you look at the Aberdeen side, and as much as they're doing so well, we've got a bigger depth. We've got the quality squad there to carry this on and to keep it going. So it's nice to see Aberdeen there, and I hope they do split the two Glasgow teams. That would be nice to see. But I think they will know their place very, very soon.
Yes.
And just to finally with the current team, obviously we're doing very well, Murdo. And you touched on it, you were speaking about Celtic playing Dortmund. Well, less said about that game, the better, of course. You says that there was an expectation where you're speaking to folks, Celtic are playing quite well, Dortmund are a wee bit of sticky position. Europe's always going to be the sort of benchmark. Look, we're doing well, we're flying high, we're in a cup final against Rangers. You know, if you're a betting man, or what you see with your eyes, you'd expect us to win that. You'd expect us to kick on as the league, as she says. And what may or may not happen with the Scottish Cup will take care of itself. But everybody's looking at Europe. It's been quite impressive so far after those first round of games there. Are you feeling confident? What to you, as a guy that's now watching Celtic for the supporting side of things, what looks like good progress for Celtic this year in Europe?
In Europe, I think we've just got to, over the years, Celtic have been struggling in Europe, home and away, when we were playing home and away games and all that kind of thing. But now, I think I'm still not a great person to think that just play at home or play another game away from home.
Yeah.
I like to, whoever you were playing, they came to your house, and then you went to their house for the games.
Yep.
Home and away. And I think that's the way it should be. But I think now, with so many games, so many competitions, you could be in the top league, and then you could drop down, and then you're in another league, and you've got a chance of another trophy and all that kind of thing. So Celtic just now can be quite comfortable. No, after the last European game, and it's a Ball. It's coming up now.
Young Boys and Bruges.
Bruges, aye.
Bruges or Ball. So that'll be interesting. That'll be interesting for Celtic, because I think if they can get another 3 points, that'll make us a wee bit stronger in the big table.
I'm going to seal it off, I think.
And that's the thing. I think this new system, I agree, we always like that home and away thing, but there's a wee bit of the element of the old in it where it's not necessarily a straight knockout, but there is no fallback, as you say. And I think that's a good thing because it gives teams a better chance. There's no fallback, you know, you didn't quite cut it there. Have a go at that one. You didn't do it. You can drop into that one. And particularly if we can get through it and get to that knockout phase, whereas we've seen it's kind of breaking down that monopoly of the power teams a wee bit because, you know, you get one shot at a team and you either take it or you don't. So it's kind of, somewhere in the middle it's good, but I'm sure that we'll all be optimistic that we kick on and improve and see another good, fruitful season for us. Well, anyway, Murdo, listen, we've just went over an hour there. I don't want to keep you too long. I appreciate you. I really, really appreciate you coming on. It's been our absolute pleasure to have someone of your stature come on to our wee podcast here and listen to us too. Clowns talking early in the morning, really all right? No, listen, but thank you very much. And as Paddy says, you've got your book out. Yes. You've got yours in order. Get it on Amazon. Get it anywhere. Amazon Prime is brilliant. Order it now and it'll be there tomorrow morning for you. So all the success for that, Murdo. And I look forward to digging into that and getting a wee bit more because like we spoke a wee bit before we came on. We spoke a bit here, but as Paddy says, we've only scratched the surface of it. And I'd love to sit and talk behind the legs off you here. But as I say, I can hear you've got your other half there. She'll be wanting you back. Get yourself out in that sun, eh?
That's it.
You put a jumper on though.
Aye, jumper, scarf, gloves, the whole shooting match. You'll need it all. It's freezing. Anyway.
Like he says, Murdo, thank you so much again for coming on and giving us the time. We will be in touch. And obviously, if you'd be willing, we could have you on again and we could get another chat at a later point in the season and see kind of how we're progressing then. But as we say, mate, thank you very much for taking the time out for our humble podcast.
Thank you very much.
No problem.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So to yourself and to everybody at home, as always, take care of yourselves. We'll be back at some point. We've got games coming up at the weekend. We'll cover them. So until that time comes around, as always, take care of yourselves and hail, hail. We'll see you all later. Bye-bye.
Hail, hail,